which is good. Thank you everyone for attending online and in person. We're going to do some welcome and introductions, and I'm going to turn it over to the Honorable Mr. McGrady.
That me?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought that's what I heard. Yeah, I said in the past I was soon going to be leaving the MPO as the board member. I am. And on my right is my replacement, Bo Waddell from Henderson County. As a born and native Henderson County person, we've known each other for a long, long time. And we were much younger, both of us. What's the importance? I'm an at-large board member, so my board position could go, frankly, anywhere in the state. And the push I was trying to make is just to make sure that somebody from this area was here, particularly with 14 and the board member being in Graham County. That's not likely he's going to make one of these. So anyway, Bo is a great guy. I try to brief him on the folks that are here, and he chairs the Transportation Advisory Committee in Henderson County and has for several years and was a member before that. So he's pretty knowledgeable about how all this works. And I would recommend him to you highly. And I've enjoyed, I should add, my service here again. Chaired the MPO.
You'll be back, Brett.
No. And Tristan, though, I thank you for, you've been a resource for me for long before I got back here, actually. And we're blessed with good leadership, both among the public officials and on the staff side. I'll miss seeing the people, and I will not miss your meetings.
Very well said. And, we will miss you probably more than you will miss. Thank you, sir. Next, I'll read the ethics statement. In accordance with the State Government Ethics Act, it is in the duty of every board member to avoid conflicts of interest. Does any board member have any known conflict of interest with respect to any matters coming before the board today? If so, please identify the conflicts and refrain from any participation in the particular matter involved. Hearing none. Jesse, we have public comment.
Yes.
I do know that the first person is Adam Smith.
It's actually Maddie, but I will follow her.
Oh, man. Thank you, Maddie. And Maddie's aware of the rules. Thank you.
My name's Maddie Rondo. I'm a resident of Asheville, and I work in Henderson County. I'm grateful to be considered for appointment to the Pedestrian and Bicycle Advisory Committee. In October of last year, I spoke during public comment about the crash that killed my fiance, Lenny Antonelli, and Jake Hill, and injured Griffin Tishner. The crash occurred on July 1st, 2025, just 2 days after Lenny and I picked out an engagement ring. I would also be remiss if I didn't mention the crash that occurred on Milligan in Johnson City yesterday, where 2 people were killed and 7 were injured. This hits close to home for me because Lenny raced against those guys, and actually his team was at a race with them just this past weekend. I understand there may be questions about the circumstances surrounding the crash that killed Lenny. While there are still many questions I do not have the answers to, I am willing to share the information I do have with anyone here. One important update is that we now know impairment was a factor in the crash. When I spoke last October, the toxicology results had not yet been returned. I share that information because I want the MPO to understand that my advocacy extends beyond a single issue. I am working for changes at the local, state, and national levels, including efforts to address impaired driving. But at the same time, I believe it is important to investigate and examine crashes from a holistic perspective. Roadway design, infrastructure, driver behavior, enforcement, education, and impairment all play a role. The MPO's work on transportation infrastructure is one important responsibility to prevent violence like this from happening again. I am grateful for the bicycle warning signs that were installed along NC 251 last November, and for the speed limit reduction that followed earlier this year. When I spoke in October, you also heard Adam Smith present the concept of bicycle safety zones. Today, I'm asking you to vote in support of a resolution to establish bicycle safety zones with the eventual goal of increasing penalties for speed violations in designated areas. I will continue fighting for changes that improve safety for all vulnerable road users. But improving road safety is not the responsibility of any one person. I ask everyone in this room to consider what action you can take to make our roads safer. Supporting bicycle safety zones is a practical, meaningful step that can help save lives. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, guys. Adam Smith. Yeah, thank you for hearing me. This is Adam Smith. I'm speaking in favor of the resolution.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having us this afternoon, everyone. As mentioned, my name is Adam. I'm the chair of the Woodfin Parks and Community Enrichment Committee. And echoing what Maddie said, I just personally wanted to thank you as well for the immediate action you took to address some of the safety concerns that we raised on Riverside Drive by putting up the additional signage and lowering the speed limit. That was a tremendous thing that you did for us, and it really meant a lot. And hopefully it's made the road safer already. So thank you so much for responding to our plea so quickly. I also, too, wanted to acknowledge the tragedy that happened in Tennessee at Milligan yesterday. It's heartbreaking. It's unthinkable. I mean, these were just college kids. And our heart goes out to them, and we're sending our thoughts and our prayers and our actions as well. So today we're here to talk about Lenny's Law and bicycle safety zones. And maybe a bicycle safety zone wouldn't have prevented the tragedy from happening yesterday at Milligan. We don't know all of the circumstances yet, but it might have been intentional, he might have been impaired. It was a tragedy all around, no matter what they find in time. But what it does is shed light on the need to continue doing something to make our roadways safer. Obviously, these accidents or these crashes are just unacceptable. So what can we do today? We can stand in solidarity with Milligan by supporting Lenny's Law. So here's what a bicycle safety zone can do. I don't know if you saw it, but just this week, AAA came out with a study on speeding, a big national study. And in it, they found that the #1 factor that reduces speeding among motorists is tickets. It is the #1 thing that slows people down, is the fear of getting a ticket. So speeding is among the top 3 factors that lead to fatal road collisions in the United States, along with distracted driving and impairment. But speeding compounds all of them. And it's almost always a factor. It makes the collision more impactful and violent, and it reduces your reaction time. So today I wanted to reveal to you something that is under its first reveal for the very first time, and here it is, folks. This is it. This is the sign you've all been waiting for. This is a bicycle safety zone. It's this simple, guys. It's a sign. I had it made yesterday at a local sign shop. Cost me $50. It will cost the state considerably less per sign, but it's a sign that can save lives. So we're asking for your support today. So, you know, given what happened in Milligan yesterday, the nation is watching. Potentially they're watching what we're doing here right now. This story could go national. And the Citizen Times is here, and WLOS is going to run a story on this. We are being interviewed immediately after this meeting by both of them. So the nation and our local community has our eyes on how we vote today. So please join Buncombe County, Asheville, Woodfin, Weaverville, and Black Mountain in supporting Lenny's law today. Thank you so much for your time.
Any other comments?
Just to note, you all should have received an email earlier today of all of the public comments received via email. Just as a reminder, at your June meeting, we approved the draft local input points for our regional project. We received 35 emails during the public comment period. Again, you should have an email or a document with all of those emails. Just to summarize, the most emails we received comments about was the Western North Carolina passenger rail project. We got 16 comments in favor of that project. Next up was the US 70 Tunnel Road Diet project. I would say it's a mixed bag on that one. 6 people were in support. 6 people had concerns about more road diet. And 3 people had, I would say, more specific suggestions, including one comment about the proposed sheets along the corridor. I'm not sure if that's positive or negative for the project. We also received 2 comments in support of Sweet Creek Road. One of those from former MPO board member Bob Davey. Always pleased to hear from our former members, especially Bob. We received 2 comments on Smoky Park Highway. That's another project being proposed for local input points. One of those was clearly in support. Another had some, I would say, somewhat neutral, conflicted comments about the overall impact along the corridor. And the US 64 project received 1 comment that was primarily about needed improvements along the entire corridor, not just the intersections that are identified in the project. But they support doing something along the corridor. So just to note that.
Can I say, I do, 3 things I just want to comment on. I really love sheets, so I'm glad they're putting more around here. But anyway, the other one is I really liked your sign. I don't know if, I don't know what it takes for the DOT to make those or how they go about doing that, but I would even think you could maybe get with property owners and put those on the private property, because the roads I'm thinking of that are very curvy in the mountains, a lot of times they don't have road right-of-ways other than ditch to ditch. And if a private property owner would do, you know, wouldn't mind putting them up, I think. I don't know if your group does that type of thing, but you might look into doing that. But I know, and I'm thinking, you know, I live in Haywood County, and I'm thinking up near Lake Logan. I'm always really nervous when I'm driving that road because a lot of people bike it, and it's kind of a narrow, curvy road. Yeah. And I don't mind at all, but it doesn't help to have a reminder, because when I get to those areas, I'm like, okay, you got to remember to look out for bikes, because, you know, they're there and everything. So, but that's just a thought on that. And then, I forgot what the other thing was. The road diet. Will you explain to me exactly what a road diet is?
Absolutely. We were going to go through it a little bit in the presentation. The road diet is primarily reducing the number of through lanes on a route and repurposing that space for something else, whether that's bike lane, wider sidewalks, a side path, sometimes on-street parking. But to note, the Tunnel Road project is a bit more than just moving paint around. That project has been talked about for a long time. The MPO did a study with Buncombe County and the city of Asheville to see if they would actually work. The general findings in working with Division 13, as well as our traffic consultants, was that it could work, but requires some intervention at a couple of the bottlenecks on the corridor. So the project is more than just, moving paint around. It's repurposing the lanes and doing significant intersection upgrades at Chums Cove Road and the South Tunnel Road intersection.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you. Next is the agenda and consent agenda. Are there any items members would like to move from the consent agenda for separate discussion? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the agenda and consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Mr. McGrady, probably making one of the last. Commissioner.
Sorry, we're doing a new voting.
Well, so just a moment to explain, Tristan, about voting.
Absolutely. So there was an assertion made at a previous MPO board meeting that people who leave the meeting are counted as an aye in the voting tally. That assertion was echoed. We got with our legal consultant on this. This took far more time than we had hoped to. What they found is that that is not the case. If you leave the meeting, your not vote is not counted. The cleanest way to explain that. Basically, our voting tallies are based on who is present and voting. We look back through, that changes no votes that took place in the past, but we wanted that to be a point of clarity moving forward.
Which is a lot different in municipalities than our other boards. Right. Right.
Yeah. So we understand the confusion, but we don't have legal staff on the MPO, so don't confuse us again in the future.
That was partly my mistake as well. I was that was the case. That is the case with other boards. But I'm not sure if you leave, does that also affect quorum?
It does not. So quorum is at the beginning, it's established at the beginning, and we will keep on rolling with or without you. Preferably with you. The other thing to note is that there was a past request for voting tallies to be recorded in the minutes. As a matter of transparency, I have asked staff to make that more transparent and make that more readily available. So behold our fancy new spreadsheet.
So it will take just a few more moments to do voting, but bear with us. So the item that we're voting on right now is the approval of agenda and consent agenda. The Honorable McGrady first, Commissioner Winston second, so we'll take a roll call.
Asheville Kimroni.
Aye.
Black Mountain Archie Portiller.
Aye.
USD Division 14 Chuck McGrady.
Aye.
Buncombe County Drew Ball. Buncombe County Parker Sloan.
Aye.
Fletcher Jim Player.
Aye.
Haywood County, Brendan Rogers.
Aye.
Haywood County, Kevin Inslee.
Aye.
Henderson County, Jay Eagle.
Aye.
Hendersonville, Jennifer Hensley.
Aye.
Laurel Park, George Banta.
Aye.
Maggie Valley, Mike Evelyn.
Aye.
Mills River, Shannon Dawn.
Aye.
Montree, Tom Widmer.
Aye.
Fillmore Forest, Drew Stevens.
Aye.
Urban Transit, Susan Dean. Aye. Waynesville, Anthony Sutton.
Aye.
Weaverville, Mark Endries.
Aye.
And Woodson, Jim McAllister.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Sorry.
Trying to read that. 19. We picked up a few more, which is good, thank you. Next is our action items. The first item is the approval of regional priority.
Okay. Again, this is an item that came before the board in June for the assignment of draft local input points. But this is not the first time we have discussed this item. Just as a reminder, this item, prioritization, has been discussed since August of last year. There were draft submittals. We finalized submittals in September. They went through quantitative scoring. Then we talked about draft local input points. Just as a reminder, this not a new topic for us. But to kick things off, and before we get into the actual local input points, we did want to provide a summary of the public survey that was done by the MPO and the RPO in the region. So Daisy, please take it away.
All right, so give me a second to get my screen shared here. All right, it's Tristan Matan. This is a summary of the joint survey we did with the RPO for draft local input points. The objective was to gather public input on projects submitted for P8, to understand regional transportation priorities, to inform local input point recommendations, and to supplement, not replace, the technical analysis and board policy. As Tristan mentioned, this went out to both the MPO and RPO area. And all of the projects were listed for Buncombe, Haywood, Henderson, Madison, and Transylvania counties. The survey ran from June 11th to July 22nd on public input. And just a caveat that the survey results represent public sentiment and are not statistically representative of the region. They are one factor among many considered during prioritization. In terms of the survey approach, the format, respondents were asked to rate each project according to their own priorities. They could select from one project category, and the project categories were items such as Haywood County highway projects or Buncombe County non-highway projects. And they could select as many project categories as they desired. Participants could rate as few or as many projects as they desired, so they could vote on just one project or the full list of projects. And categories were rated, projects were rated by participants between not a priority and essential. And you'll see that we've converted that to numeric scores. So on the bottom of the slide there, you'll see how those categories converted numerically. So a project that was really rated essential by a participant would have received 4 points, where those that were rated not a priority would have received 0 points. In terms of the survey distribution, we use social media as one means of promotion. We paid for social media advertising on Meta, and that went out on both the Facebook and Instagram platforms. We also shared it to our LinkedIn and Nextdoor accounts, as well as sharing the survey on Reddit as well. Notification also went out to the MPO's interested parties email distribution list. And then we distributed the flyer to local government partners for reposting on their social media channels as well. And then we also distributed physical flyers within the community, and you can see a sample of those flyers on the bottom of the slide there. In terms of responses by project type and location, Buncombe County non-highway projects received the most participants across the board, with 490 participants voting on Buncombe County's non-highway projects. Another key finding was that across every county, respondents showed greater interest in reviewing non-highway projects than highway projects, and you can see that reflected in the chart above. In terms of survey distribution throughout zip codes, we saw the highest concentration in the West Asheville 28806 zip code, followed by Brevard and Henderson County. And you can see in the map there where the surveys were distributed throughout the region zip codes. Some consistent themes that we noticed from the survey was that respondents consistently favored projects that improve safety, expand transportation choices, connect communities, improve walking and bicycling, and enhance quality of life. In addition to ratings, we also received written comments that were available in an open-ended format at the end of the survey. We received 304 written comments. Most of the comments dealt with transportation safety, sidewalks and greenways, bicycle facilities, transit and passenger rail, targeted congestion improvement, and protection for community character. Some respondents also suggested requiring participants to rank projects in future surveys instead of allowing multiple projects to be rated essential, and so that's something we'll carry into the survey design for the next P9 process. Just in terms of individual county highlights, Buncombe County has the highest level of public engagement. Interstate congestion remains the dominant highway concern. The I-26, I-40, I-240 final interchange improvements were the highest scoring project in the entire survey, even above that of passenger rail. We saw strong support for multimodal investments, and rail projects performed exceptionally well. Respondents consistently favored projects that improve safety and connectivity. In Haywood County, we saw highway priorities centered on traffic operations and safety rather than capacity expansion. We also saw strong support for sidewalk projects and greenway extensions serving local neighborhoods. Respondents consistently rated projects that improve community connectivity highly, and transit supportive infrastructure also received positive support, with 2 and 3, or the second and third ranking projects being transit supported projects. Overall, respondents value projects that improve everyday travel and safety. In Henderson County, we saw strong support for both highway and multimodal projects. Projects improving use of US 64, I-26, NC 191 and local intersections ranked highly. Sidewalks, greenways, and trail connections consistently received some of the highest ratings. Respondents demonstrated considerable support for projects that improve connections between communities, and accessibility and quality of life improvements appear to be major priorities. In Madison County, we saw fewer overall responses than other counties, but the ratings remained relatively consistent. We saw strong support on safety improvements along US 2570 and NC 213. Interest centered on projects that improve access to communities rather than expanding roadway capacity. And sidewalk and shared use projects performed well relative to traditional highway improvements. In Transylvania County, we saw very strong support for the Acoustic Rail Trail and other greenway projects. There was strong interest in projects improving bicycle and pedestrian connectivity. Highway priorities generally focused on safety improvements along US 64 and US 276, and many respondents favored projects that improve tourism, recreation, and regional mobility. And this is just a slide showing the top 10 projects that were ranked throughout the survey. As I said before, I-26, I-40, I-240 final interchange improvement received the highest ranking in the top 10 list, followed shortly by Asheville to Salisbury passenger rail. And this is the bottom 10 projects on the list. The I-26, US 23 US 19 from North Buncombe School Road to Stockton Branch Road was the lowest ranking project in the entire survey. I'll just give everybody a second to take that in. This is the projects that are being proposed for draft local input points at the regional impact tier. And I can take any questions about these as I'm going through these. And these are the regional impact tier projects that were not awarded draft local input points. And here in green, you'll see the projects that are being proposed to be awarded draft local input points, and in red, projects that are not being proposed for draft local input points. Are there any questions about that?
Do we have that information in this packet, or is that just a...
There's a link to it in your packet. So on the agenda item, there's a link to the survey report. That gives you a full breakdown of basically everything that's presented and a very long appendix.
Substantial.
I think the appendix is the best part.
Okay, if there are no further questions, we can look at some post-survey engagement that we've done as well. Following the survey, we posted a series of 11 graphics to various social media networks that pose questions about the projects that were being slated for draft local input points. There's an example on the right of what those graphics look like. We posted these to Facebook, LinkedIn, Nextdoor, Reddit, and Instagram. And we saw the most heavy engagement on both Nextdoor and Reddit. Between those two platforms, we saw 86,000 impressions, meaning 86,000 separate views of the survey graphics, with over 37,000 on Nextdoor and over 49,000 on Reddit. We received a substantive comment across Reddit and Nextdoor, with 218 comments on Nextdoor, most revolving around the passenger train project, or passenger rail project rather, and 166 comments on Reddit, with also the 35 email comments that Tristan covered previously. Not each project received comments. We received the most comments on passenger rail with overwhelmingly positive support. It was our most common owned project. We received comments for the tunnel road diet as well, mixed support on that via the online public comments, with more favorable support in the email comments. And we also received mixed support for Sweeten Creek Road and the South Main Street project as well. So, are there any questions on the post-survey engagement? That's all I have for you today.
I do want to thank Daisy. Daisy's been working for over a year on growing our social media engagement. As everyone knows, social media is a fun and positive place to be working. But I do think, MPO social media doesn't tend to be the most popular, but I do think with this effort, we're starting to see the fruit of Daisy's work.
Did you say 37,000, 49,000?
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible. Thank you. So before us today is 4 action items, and the action items can be carried in a single motion on all 4 elements, or if any member would prefer to take one of these elements separately, we can do that. But it's to approve the regional priority project, to accept the donation of local input points to other planning organizations for the Western North Carolina passenger rail, receive 200 donated points from Land of Sky RPO, thank you very much, and the transfer of 500 regional impact points to the division needs on each street. Anyone want to talk about this separately, or I'll entertain a motion to accept all 4?
We do have a bit more information.
Steve, rolling ahead.
we can steamroll if you guys would like, but I'm often told that our meetings are too long and they don't provide enough detail. So I'll err on the...
I will push to move up, and Tristan will push for more detail.
I'll try to go through this quickly. Just a reminder, this is the prioritization process. This is the step between long-range plans and figuring out what gets funded. Funding is distributed into different pots based on state law. The statewide mobility is primarily our interstates. That was discussed, or the outcome of that funding tier was discussed back in June. Today we're talking about regional impact, that's Region G, and that's made up of Divisions 13 and 14, primarily competing our US and NC routes as well as passenger rail. To note, division needs include bike ped projects, transit projects, and secondary roads. That'll be discussed in October and November. So we did receive some comments of why aren't we putting points at the regional impact here on our bike ped projects? They aren't eligible based on state law. That's why. Again, one of the takeaways from June is there actually is funding, unless you're in Division 8. Apologies. For us, we are in Region G, so there's an estimated $122 million available. It's still weird for me to say this, but that's not a lot of money, at least not in terms of transportation infrastructure. However, seeing it positive for the first time in 8 years, good thing. I'll take it. So, track local input points. First of all, what are they? What do they do? They reflect our priorities as a region. The NPO is charged with coming up with what are our priority projects for the region. And what that means is when we assign points to a project, it boosts a project's overall score. It gives it a better chance of being funded. To note, historically, it is very unlikely for a project to be funded without local input points from the NPO. At the same time, a project getting points from the NPO doesn't guarantee that it will be funded. The best chance that a project can have is having a good quantitative score, local input points from the NPO, and local input points from NCDOT divisions. That cooperative part is extremely important. I say this in our orientation, I'll say it again and again. Our divisions are a part of this MPO. I always encourage them to speak their minds in one way or another, and I encourage our membership to listen to the divisions, especially for projects that they will be charged with implementing. In your packet, you do have a list of projects that are set to receive local input points. To go through those fairly quickly, the top scoring one is Western North Carolina Passenger Rail Project, the highest scoring project in Region G. If this project were to be funded through this process, it would account for the state match that would go towards a future federal grant to implement passenger rail. This project is also somewhat complicated in that it goes beyond just our region. So it's the French Broad River MPO, the Foothills RPO, the Greater Hickory MPO, Charlotte MPO, and the Cabarrus Rowan MPO. We have to have the support of all of those different organizations to keep this project moving forward, as well as the NCDOT divisions. Second project is multiple intersection improvements along Asheville Highway. That's the highest scoring highway project in the region based on the quantitative score. That's in Hendersonville, and that addresses 3 intersections that are identified in the MPO safety plan. Next up, and just behind the Asheville Highway project, is the Tunnel Road Road Diet. So as noted before, what that would be taking the existing lanes reducing the number of through lanes and using that space to provide multimodal accommodation. I will say this project has done its homework. The MPO, Buncombe County, and the City of Asheville did a feasibility study that included collaborating with the division and had public input on it. And as noted earlier, it's more than just a restriping. It would be upgrading a couple of the intersections through the corridor to help keep traffic moving. But this project especially is seen as something that could be a catalyst for an area that has a number of vacancies, as well as somewhat declining traffic numbers, but also has a number of multimodal crashes, and is a stone's throw from basically the job center of the region with downtown Nashville. Next up is New Lester Highway intersection improvements. This actually came from public comment at the MPO a few years ago. As the New Lester Highway was widened, a number of intersections, from what I've been told, actually increased in the number of conflict points. So a number of residents noted that they do not feel safe making turning movements at these intersections. Doug, tell me if I'm wrong with this summary, but DOT noted that more improvements could be made to make those intersections safer, but that is a relatively quick retrofit on a corridor. Smoky Park Highway access management. Just to note, access management, to cut through the jargon, that's primarily adding a median through the highway. The reason we recommend that isn't to make people's left turns more difficult, although that's often in effect. Medians are a proven safety countermeasure that help reduce crashes and serious and fatal crashes along the corridor. This is another corridor that's part of our high entry network and is seen as one of the high growth areas in Buncombe County. Sweeten Creek Road widening. We've only been talking about this since 1994. Why stop now? It was funded up until the last round of prioritization. Based on our local priority meetings, we are looking to prioritize the northern section. That would be widening Sweeten Creek from Rock Hill Road down to Mills Gap. And to note, the preliminary cross-section on that project also does include a median. As we're adding capacity, also making sure that we are making that facility as safe as possible.
Yeah. Wouldn't this one involve a significant amount of taking of private property, given the narrowness of that corridor?
Yes, but to note, several of these projects that we're talking about would likely require this one. Tim or Doug, do you remember the right-of-way budget?
Substantial.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I believe, because we were railroad, some of the owners of that property are okay with that, and will be work with the NCDOT for that planning and plan.
From 2 lanes to 4 lanes with a median, pedestrian and bicycle facility, and utilities. You can't do that on the same corridor. I mean, on that same footprint, it's just impossible. So there's always going to be impacts, and the reality is the more things grow, the greater the impact. The need's there, so as the project moves forward, the quicker it can be done, and I say quicker in DOT terms, not in normal people terms, but the quicker it gets done, the better. So, and similar with Smoky Park Highway, you know, only with Smoky Park, there's a railroad on one side, and we can't move the railroad. So all the widening has to go to the other side. So those are 2 very impactful projects, but they're 2 very congested corridors with safety needs.
Inaction is not essentially taking action because it's only going to get worse.
Right. Great question. In Henderson County, Spartanburg Highway, that's another access management project along a growing corridor on the south side of the city from Greenville Highway to Upward Road. Again, preliminarily, a similar cross-section, although we are hoping to get an express design started sometime soon on this project. Delwood Road Access Management, there were a couple of fatalities on this stretch of road. This project has been submitted since, I believe, 2014 into prioritization. There have been some safety interventions by Division 14 to address some of the more immediate safety concerns. But again, we are looking at retrofitting the corridor to help make it safer, add multimodal elements, and improve some of the bottlenecks. Brevard Road intersection improvements. This was submitted by Division 14 to address a number of intersections along US 64 in western Henderson County, stretching into Transylvania. South Main Street, that is a project in Waynesville. We know that's the town of Waynesville's #1 priority project. It was funded until, I believe, the last round of prioritization. And NCT 15, starting in Mars Hill and going out in Madison County, the best named road in the region, Bone Camp Road. That would be a similar cross-section, although keeping it 2 lanes. There's a water and sewer project going along this corridor, so we do anticipate more growth coming in. And there was 1 fatality along the corridor recently, as well as a number of crashes. Those are the priority projects section of this consideration. Before we move into the RPO point donation, are there any questions, comments on our priority projects? These have been recommended by the Prioritization Subcommittee and TCC. Okay. The next component is a proposed point donation from the RPO. The RPO has proposed donating 200 points to the MPO. Thank you, RPO. That would be applied to 2 projects that were discussed at our local meetings. That's the intersection of 191 and Glenbridge Road in Buncombe County. It's a weird intersection, put it mildly. And in Haywood County, US 276 at Crimes Cove Road, another weird intersection. That would require some realignment as well as a roundabout.
Both of those are on the high injury network.
They're very simple.
Yeah, they're offset. But they do, even though they're not in the RPO planning area, they do benefit in the RPO.
They're feeder. So thank you. Yeah. So as prioritization, we did discuss accepting the donated points. We can use MPO points. We have a ton of points. I'm going to be trading them for beverages as an MPO gets together. Or rejecting the donation. The subcommittee and the TCC recommended accepting the donation. Any questions, comments? Okay.
I'll just say I use the Crimes Cove quite a bit, and it is dangerous. There's a curve coming into that, and people are going pretty fast. And then you're trying to pull out of both of these places. And I know I was going to pick my parents up one day, and it was on Christmas Day, and I pulled out. I just didn't see the car. It was a little bitty car, and he was flying. And he honked his horn, and I was able to just stay in the other lane. And it was like, I hate for that to happen on Christmas Day, you know? So,
yeah, absolutely. And to note, that project was funded until the last round of prioritization. So again, another project that we're trying to get funded again after the right pricing that's happened the last few years.
Next component, passenger rail. As noted, we cannot put all of the points needed to support the project. We can put 15 out of the 100 points. Greater Hickory has 37. They plan to put their points on it. Foothills RPO, 23. Charlotte can put 14, and Ferris Rowan can put 12. In coordinating with our PO partners, Charlotte and Ferris Rowan said they don't plan on putting points towards the project, but if the MPO were to donate points, then they would consider accepting those and the assignment of those points.
Is there a reason we can only donate 15, especially given the popularity of the project?
It's based on how much of the project is actually within our limits. So because about 15% of the project is in the MPO, that's the maximum amount that we can assign. But we can donate points to partners.
I was disappointed to hear Charlotte not see this more of an opportunity, because I know there's a lot of discussion around increasing ridership for their gas system, and you would think that bringing folks in by passenger rail or getting folks to the train station would be a good way to keep more folks on public transit. So if anyone knows Charlotte folks, please.
But we can ask the question. And the last component, point transfer. We can transfer up to 500 points to the division needs tier. So just a reminder, we have 1,900 points available in this funding tier, and that is more than we need. And so what we discussed with the subcommittee and CCC, donating to division needs could make a lot of sense. Our division needs projects tend to be smaller in cost, and therefore might require more points in order to keep them moving forward. We'll see, but it at least leaves the door open. So that's our final recommendation. You've got your priority projects, accept the donation of 200 RPO points, donate 26 points to 2 different MPOs, and transfer 500 points to division needs. Are there any questions, comments? This is the final decision for the board at this funding tier, and you do need approval this month.
And this is fully recommended by the TCC?
Correct.
And prioritization, and this has been talked about for months.
Yeah, it's every so often I hear about how this just popped up. We're trying to make it pop up as little as possible.
Would a motion be in order to accept the recommendations of the TCC? I'll make that motion.
Yeah. Second.
Roll call.
Who seconded that motion?
Shannon?
Aye.
Kim is an aye. Thank you, Kim. We pretty much know the order already. We could go to
Or if the second is needed, I can make a second.
Yes, thank you, Kim.
You guys don't even need me here.
We need you.
Asheville, Kimroni.
Aye.
Black Mountain, Archie Prisciller.
Ready?
Covered or not? Yes, I did.
DOT Division 14, Chuck McGrady.
Aye.
Buncombe County, Drew Ball.
Aye.
Buncombe County, Parker Sloan.
Aye.
Fletcher, Tim Player.
Aye.
Haywood County, Brandon Rogers.
Aye.
Haywood County, Kevin Inslee.
Aye.
Henderson County, Jay Eagle.
Aye.
Hendersonville, Jennifer Hensley.
Aye.
Laurel Park, George Banta.
Aye.
Manatee Valley, Mike Evelyn.
Aye.
Mills River, Shannon Gahn.
Aye.
Lawn Tree, Tom Widmer. Drew Stevens.
Aye.
Urban Transit, Susan Bean. Aye. Waynesville, Anthony Sutton.
Aye.
Weaverville, Mark Endries.
Aye.
And Woodfin, Jim McAllister.
Aye. Councilmember Whitmer, you have your hand raised?
Yes, I did. I voted aye, but it wasn't recorded as such.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I'll let you hand it to.
Yeah, I got it.
Thank you. Next is a business item, a resolution supporting Lenny's Law. Okay, this came as an informational item to the MPO board last month. There was a vote taken as an informational item, and it did not pass. However, in the follow-up discussion, it was requested to bring this item back to the board for consideration as a business item. I do think public comment that we received explains what's being proposed better than I can explain it. I do want to just note, from my point of view, we're kind of discussing this for two different reasons. One is the tragedy that our region experienced last summer. And to note, I'm not aware of another tragedy in our region where two cyclists were killed in a single crash. I think the fact that another crash killing multiple cyclists happened again yesterday just to the north of us is something that's is shocking. The safety issues we've talked about a lot in terms of statistics. I think hearing the personal side of this is something that's important, is something that's powerful, and is something that is overwhelmingly tragic. This specific incident didn't happen on a random road. This happened on the most popular cycling route in the region. I have ridden this route many times. Someone tells me there's a flat route, great. It's incredible. If you're out there on a weekend morning, you're likely to see more cyclists out there than you are to see other cars. It's not just a route that I've ridden. I've recommended it to others. It was recommended to me. I do think it's a place where it has a lot of challenges in terms of the treatments that we know would make this safer. We talk a lot about putting in infrastructure to make a route safer. This route specifically, we know is extremely popular, and we know it's extremely difficult to do anything in terms of infrastructure. So, to me, I think with this initiative by members of the community, the tragedy is the catalyst, but another realization and something that we've talked about, Commissioner Ensley, you brought this up in another meeting, is that the rate at which we are seeing infrastructure get implemented is not fast. I would love to be able to sit here and talk about how much funding the MPO has been putting towards bicycle and pedestrian initiatives. We put a lot, to be clear, but we're focusing, and our job's focus is on the infrastructure component. I think at the heart of this is a recognition that the infrastructure we need to make our region safer is a slow-moving thing. And there's a lot of good reasons for that, and there's a lot of reasons that I think a lot of us wish we could change. But I think the request is
we need another tool out there to help improve safety, especially on some of our routes that doing something to change the roads to make people safer is difficult, to put it mildly. So just from staff's point of view, I think that is the way that we see this resolution. It is supporting getting another tool out there to help improve safety.
If you all make one comment or turn it over to Jim, and I'm sure we'll have other comments. This is a normal way that we go about doing business in PO, right? We don't usually take a political stance on something before it's brought before the state. However, we have set precedents in the past, thanks to the Honorable Grady, that we are willing to put our neck out there and make a statement. And that's what I'll have to say, and then I'll turn it over to Jim.
I hope you all understand that Riverside Drive 251 is a giant thoroughfare for the town of Woodfin and also the region. As mayor, one of my biggest fears, because I drive on Riverside Drive almost every day, is that something bad is going to happen again. You would not comprehend, unless you're in my shoes, the number of close calls that we're having. Lenny and Jacob could have easily been hit at the corner of Elk Mountain Road or in front of the Riverwalk subdivision at the entrance to either of our parks off of Riverside Drive. It didn't matter where it happened. It happened on 251. As Tristan said, this just gives us another tool. This isn't going to fix anything, but this will pave the way for us to go to the legislature, to the General Assembly, and try to get some special accommodations that would allow law enforcement to do more. Right now, my police chief, her hands are tied. She can only do so much. Legislature prohibits most of the enhanced funding structures that we need. I just can't imagine, given the fact that we're getting ready to open a park with a water feature where we think on holiday weekends, we could have hundreds, maybe several thousand people. And a lot of people are going to bike there because there's no place, there's going to be very few places to park. We have approved repeated new subdivisions that are going to have driveways and streets on the Riverside Drive. One at Goodman Road, there's going to be almost 400 new homes, and it's a dangerous curve where that exits onto Riverside Drive. We beseech you, please vote for this. We need every tool in our toolkit that we have. We don't have many on Riverside Drive. But if we approve this today, and the town marshal will approve it, we will have unanimity, everybody that we need that this corridor impacts. And I think it'll give us the legs that we need to walk to Raleigh and make a difference. Thank you.
Councilman Rooney, I'm sure you want to speak about this as well.
I'll just say that we speak a lot to our safety metrics every year and tying our budgets and plans and policies to making it so that everybody gets to their destination safely. I think it's been well articulated that this gives us a collaborative approach, but also a way to advocate at the state level. And I appreciate the work that's been done by impacted community members to make sure that the preventable incidents don't happen. And that's all I'll add for.
Thank you.
I'll mention that the town of Weaverville approved a resolution in support of Lenny's Law at the August town council meeting. And so we're unified with Woodfin and hopefully other municipalities in supporting this law.
I was just wondering, what was the negatives at the last meeting?
The negatives is that this just generally isn't the way that we do things. We don't get political at the PO level. We usually support things proposed at the legislative, but I think we've done things differently in PO before. That's the reason we brought it back up.
I think I remember also some procedural issue with some people having left the meeting and not having their vote, or their vote being an automatic yes, and there's concerns amongst the board that that was not really intended, and so that's, I think, really what
It's procedural.
Yeah, just to note, with MPO staff being grant funded, we are not allowed to lobby or advocate. There are other MPOs that do, but they set up their budget in a way where they have local funding covering those aspects, and they set up regional legislative priorities. However, from my point of view, our job here is to present it and send an email. And our job would stop there. What the board chooses to do is on the board's accord.
Some MPOs have lobbyists that actually go and advocate to the legislature directly. Yeah, correct. It's funded separately. Yeah, we're yes.
As the only former legislator in the room, all too often we make laws that start at the top and come down. It would be better if they start at the bottom and go up in the food chain. And so I support it. I think it's a good idea, and have no procedural issues with it. And the other thing is, I've tied this place up on safety statistics more than you probably like, but it's nice to actually have something that addresses some of the same set of issues that we've had a hard time figuring out how to count. So I fully support the concept in the resolution.
And if I may, I can just add, since Buncombe County just this past week passed our resolution after Woodson, Weaverville, and Asheville took action, and this has very much been a ground-up initiative. We've heard from so many folks in our community, and we actually expanded our resolution a little bit wider to also honor Alex Rosas, who was age 26, hit on Tunnel Road, and we talked even more broadly about the need for improved safety measures and bike ped infrastructure. And I think that not only, I don't see it as politics, I see it as supporting sound policy. And I think that also speaks to helping a community heal when they see that their leaders want to take action and are hearing their concerns. I think our survey just pointed out the overwhelming support for safety initiatives. I think it's also powerful if it comes from this MPO, considering that our own DOT data shows that from 2015 to 2024, Asheville ranked first in the state per capita for fatal bike crashes with cars. So I think us taking this initiative is powerful, and I encourage folks who have councils and committees who haven't passed this resolution yet to not stop today and take it further and continue to bring this up from the ground level.
When you're ready, I'd like to.
I'd like a couple more comments. Yes.
If I,
Yeah, I think you call. Do you mind just, let's go there. Councilmember Rooney?
Thank you. I raised my hand. I forgot to mention earlier, and thank you to others who have lifted up their municipalities have passed this already. Asheville City Council did pass this unanimously.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I just have more of a question on the motion, not the motion, but it says popular cycling routes, and in certain popular cycling routes, I'm questioning how do you determine popular cycling routes? Then I see local and state officials shall make road designations based on data of cycling-related accidents and feedback from cycling groups and communities. So that's how certain popular cycling routes are determined. Who are the local and state officials?
So I think that would just be a broad part of what we'd be recommending, that, the law would be to designate these bicycle safety zones. I think if this were to move forward, the designation would be done collaboratively with NCDOT on state roads, as well as local officials, be that at the MPO, rural planning organizations, RPO, or municipalities and counties. I would say all involved.
Like TAC?
Potentially, yeah.
Potentially. Okay.
For example, in Woodfin, we did it in conjunction with DOT. They agreed, we agreed to do it together. They made it happen at our request. So yeah, I think it can be that simple.
So we would have signage like that. I think there's an example in our packet.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and see, I think when you have, if the signs need to be posted, you know, not just once, but probably often along that route, because, you know, some people may be turning in, but it's just kind of a reminder, and I'm okay with it too. I mean, to me, it's a reminder that this is a, you know, a bicycle safety zone, that there's going to be bicycles possibly there. And it kind of puts you on notice and makes it alerts you, if you will. Like I've told you about the routes that I've seen them on is, you know, I'll see one and it's like, oh yeah, I got to remember that. But it'd be great to have that as a reminder along the way. So, yeah, but I feel.
Tim, our division folks, how does NCDOT currently determine where they're going to install share the road signage? Is that by request, or is that because they're aware of the frequency of cyclists using a roadway?
Typically by request, working with municipalities. They bring the request for the specific route to us, and then we work out the agreements on maintenance of those signs.
Right. And I know that North Carolina has some designated bicycling routes. I know specifically in the RPO, Transylvania County publishes and shares a countywide recommended bicycle route. So that would be, I can imagine those roadways along that could be identified to benefit from something like this.
What this does is it gives local another tool, like Adam stated, what slows traffic down and forces it,
right.
the ability to give fill on, and it gives a fill.
If we can obtain the ability to have increased fines, we think our police chief said that's the way to do it. She claims that data shows nationwide when fines are doubled, fines are tripled, when you see in construction zones, it has a positive impact. So that's one of the gold rings we hope to grab eventually through this process.
I see it every day when I'm coming. Whenever you see that $500 fine, not everyone slows down. Some people speed up, but a lot of people, including myself, slow down.
I would just, from my perspective, the DOT, I wish, I'd like to say that signs work all the time, but we have a littering fine that's pretty stiff, but we still spend thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars on litter. But warning folks and putting that information out there that this is an area of concern, I feel like it's made a difference on 251 with just I don't want to call it saturation, but a more robust signing approach. We've already had the request for the high bicycle traffic area sign that we generated, and we just got to figure out how to get that slid into the MUTCD so it's a little more readily available. But thinking about what's happening here, I don't really see it as political. I see it as policy. To me, those are two different things. Political is the problem we have right now with people not getting along just because they can't agree on anything. This is a policy. This is recommending something. It's a tool. And I think Drew kind of hit on that it applies that. It gives us that option. From our standpoint, I think our concerns would be similar as, what's the loose guidelines for setting up the group that decides, and then what are those thresholds? Is it a percentage of bikes versus cars? I don't know that that's good, because there are roads that probably need it that have a tremendous amount of cars on them. Or do you use this also as a tool to help guide folks to places where maybe it's a little easier to bike than other places? So the bike network idea is a great starting point as well. Setting those thresholds and setting that process needs to be part of that law. And if we can kind of pull all that together, maybe out the gate, it'll make sense. And we just want to make sure it doesn't preclude something like 251 by some accident. So
Well, nothing is ever perfect, right?
Right.
But if you save just one life from this, it's completely worth it. I will, if you don't mind, I'll take liberty with the chair to recognize Mr. Stone.
Thank you so much. I'm extremely heartened to hear all of your comments. And I just wanted to reiterate that encouraging people to go to speed limit is not just good for cyclists, it's good for everybody. Cycling, as I mentioned, is one of the leading causes of accidents. Speeding is one of the leading causes of accidents, in this country. So it might save some cyclists, but it also might get your loved one home as well, who was driving in a car. 251 is dangerous to drive in a car. So if it encourages people just to go the speed limit, it benefits everybody. Thank you.
Other comments? I will entertain a motion. Mr. Chair.
I'd like to make the motion that we approve the resolution supporting Lenny's Law.
Thank you. Do I have a second by
Tim Road.
Honorable? Yes. Thank you, Kim. Jim.
Asheville, Kim Roney.
Aye.
Black Mountain, Archie Pertiller.
Aye.
BOT Division 14, Chuck McGrady.
Aye.
Buncombe County, Drew Ball.
Aye.
Buncombe County, Parker Sloan.
Aye.
Fletcher, Jim Player.
Aye.
Haywood County, Brandon Rogers.
Aye.
Haywood County, Kevin Inslee.
Aye.
Henderson County, Jay Eagle.
Aye.
Hendersonville, Jennifer Hensley.
Aye.
Laurel Park, George Banta.
Aye.
Maggie Valley, Mike Evelyn. Mills River, Shannon Dawn.
Aye.
Montreat, Tom Whitmer.
Aye.
Biltmore Forest, Drew Stevens.
Aye.
Urban Transit, Susan Bean. Aye. Waynesville, Anthony Sutton.
Aye.
Weaverville, Mark Endry.
Aye.
Woodfin, Jim McAllister.
Aye.
Somehow I didn't
Yeah, I
get
have it.
my eye.
Okay. That's good.
The ayes have it.
Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Our next item of business is the Pedestrian Bicycle Advisory Committee appointment. Okay, back in April, the MPO board established a Pedestrian Bicycle Advisory Committee at the MPO to make recommendations to the TCC board involving bicycle and pedestrian matters. Just as a reminder, the way this was set up is that there are 9 members overall on this committee. 5 of them are appointed by the MPO board. The other 4 are appointed by each of our county commissions. Just to note, 2 of our county commissions poached some of our applicants. Buncombe County appointed Mike Sewell with Asheville on Bike. Henderson County appointed Hunter Marks, who has been involved in a number of initiatives. I believe Haywood County is planning to make an appointment.
Yeah, we just hadn't got there yet, but yeah, we're actively looking.
Sounds good. And Madison County, I have not heard back from, but hopefully we will get an appointment soon. But all in all, we received 20 applications. 2 of those applicants were later poached. So we had 18 to consider. Staff went through the full list of applications, the link to which is in your packet, and to talk about staff recommendations as a starting point for your
approval. I'll hand it off to Sandy on our team.
Yeah, so we had, as Tristan said, 18 different applicants to consider. There were unfortunately no applicants from Haywood or Madison counties, and so we prioritized candidates that represented larger advocacy organizations so that they would hopefully come onto the committee representing a larger portion of the bicycle and pedestrian advocacy community and not just representing themselves. Maddie happens to be here in the room with us today, and we all know that she is a great advocate for bicyclist safety. Dawn Barr from Hendersonville is on the board for Bike Walk Hendersonville and is also a board member for the Blue Ridge Bicycle Club. Catherine Cordell is a former MPO board member and on the active Weaverville committee. Sherry Lucas is the executive director of Go Local Asheville and has connections to over 700 local Western North Carolina organizations and businesses. And Laura Rice is the executive director of the Friends of Acosta Trail. So those are the candidates that staff is recommending for your appointment today.
Thank you. Any comments on that? We got some really strong candidates.
Yes.
So that's exciting. There are no comments. I'll entertain a motion to appoint the individuals to.
I'll make that motion.
I don't know if he said what, but.
That was Archie. I'd make that motion.
I'll thank you, Archie, for the second, and Mark, for the second. Again, thank you for bearing with us this week. To do voting.
Asheville, Kim Roney. Black Mountain, Archie Fertiller.
Aye.
DOT Division 14, Chuck McGrady.
Aye.
Buncombe County, Drew Ball.
Aye.
Buncombe County, Parker Sloan.
Aye.
Fletcher, Jim Player.
Aye.
Haywood County, Brandon Rogers. Haywood County, Kevin Inslee.
Aye.
Henderson County, Jay Eagle.
Aye.
Hendersonville, Jennifer Hensley.
Aye.
Laurel Park, George Banta.
Aye.
Maggie Valley, Mike Evelyn.
Aye.
Mills River, Shannon Dawn.
Aye.
Montree, Tom Widmer.
Aye.
Biltmore Forest, Drew Stevens.
Aye.
Urban Transit, Susan Bean. Aye. Waynesville, Anthony Sutton.
Aye.
Weaverville, Mark Andrews.
Aye.
And Woodfin, Jim McAllister.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
This is Brandon Rogers. I was an aye too. Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to what this committee can accomplish. We have one more business item. It's the approval of funding and schedule changes to regional significant projects.
Yeah, just to note, this item typically comes to you as amendments to the TIP. We're trying to change the language to really get more directly to what we're talking about. That is the approval of funding and schedule changes. As the maintainers of the TIP, projects that change significantly in funding, schedule, scope are required to be approved by the MPO board. So we have been requested to bring this item monthly to the MPO. Just to note, we've already received more requests from NCDOT to make amendments that we'll be bringing in September for some substantial projects, including some on Amboy Meadow as well as 240. Those will be coming in September. But we do have a list of projects for approval today. So Hannah, please take it away.
The amendment highlights for this month include updating the tip ID for TG0011 to TG0022. Sorry to everyone who was attached to 0011, which is our routine capital. We're adding utilities that were not previously programmed to multiple projects, including the Riceville Road sidewalk project, the Onteora Boulevard Bridge sidewalk project, as well as the Carolina Boulevard and Waitsell Way safety improvements in Haywood County. And then delaying the construction of I-4409A, which is the Blue Ridge Road Bridge in Black Mountain, the replacement of that bridge as part of the larger I-4409 project, delaying that construction from FY26 to FY27 to allow us to begin construction this year. The full amendment summary can be found in your board packet. If anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions for me? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
No, thank you. No one wanted to jump out there. Thank you. So my goal today was to finish business by 2:30, and I think we're going to get right to it. Close.
Asheville Kimroni.
Aye.
Black Mountain Archie Pertiller.
Aye.
DOC Division 14 Chuck McGrady.
Aye.
Buncombe County Drew Ball.
Aye.
Buncombe County Parker Sloan.
Aye.
Fletcher Jim Player.
Aye.
Haywood County Brandon Rogers.
Aye.
Haywood County Kevin Inslee.
Aye.
Henderson County Jay Eagle.
Aye.
Hendersonville Jennifer Hensley.
Aye.
Laurel Park George Banta.
Aye.
Maggie Valley Mike Evelyn.
Aye.
Mills River Shannon Gaunt.
Aye.
Montreat Tom Woodburn.
Aye.
Fillmore Forest Drew Stevens.
Aye.
Urban Transit Susan Bean. Aye. Waynesville Anthony Sutton.
Aye.
Weaverville Mark Indries.
Aye.
And Woodfin Jim McAllister.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Thank you. And that concludes the business portion of our meeting. Next is informational items. No information. Okay. Then we'll do the regular updates in DOT Divisions 13.
Okay, Division 13, construction updates. Let's see if we can get back up here. I-26, the 4700 project, westbound I-26 was open to all 4 lanes in mid-July. Eastbound I-26 is anticipated to be open to 4 lanes in October. They're continuing to work through permanent striping and other items to finish up. Substantial completion is expected, and the goal is at the end of this year. The double bridges on US 1923 at Reams Creek, they're continuing work there, planning on setting another series of the girders in late September, early October. We also have a couple of the I-26 projects for update, and just to let you know, it came up in the last meeting with so many projects that begin with 2513 and then a series of letters after. I will send a map to Tristan if he would like to distribute that. That gives a little more clarity on the bounds of all of these projects. But the AA and AB projects, which are out around exit 44, phase 2 construction is ongoing. Concrete paving placement has started. The new bridge for exit 44A is nearing completion along with the new alignment. We do not expect a major traffic shift until late in 2026 at the earliest. Then for the I-26 FBRMPO project, which has just recently started. Phase 1 construction is underway. Many of the minor traffic shifts have been completed across the corridor, making way for bridge substructure work. A causeway is going to be constructed in the French Broad River upcoming within the next month. We've had some press releases on that, and we'll be hearing more about that as well. And then here in Asheville, Haywood Road milling, they've completed all the concrete work, and they have started milling on August 9th at night. They will then put in some of the infrastructure required for the signals and then begin paving once that's complete. Once again, doing most of that work at night to minimize impact to businesses, pedestrians, and the traveling public. So those are the updates we have for construction. Glad to take any questions about any of those or any of the additional ones that we didn't mention specifically.
Any questions? Thank you. Doing a lot of work.
A lot going on. One thing I did mean to mention with the construction updates, of course, is resurfacing. I did forget that. And pavement preservation. Those are ongoing typically during warm weather. And just one thing of note, just in one single contract, there was 51 sections of roadway, and in another contract, 36 sections of roadway. So there's going to be a lot of pavement preservation, paving, patching, all those things going on. So we urge folks to stay alert and watch for workers in the roadway.
Thank you for the smooth override. Division 14.
Well, I've got my project development updates too. We're just doing so much.
We got ahead today, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what you said you were going to do early in the meeting. You're following through. As far as our project development updates, just giving a few that are going to be coming up through the end of the year. We have a couple of different projects for safety installing long life pavement markings and rumble strips. So that'll be going on. Also a couple pedestrian signal improvements around a couple different locations. And then also another one of the 2513 projects, 2513 AC, is anticipated to let in November. So those are kind of the highlights of the things that are closest on the horizon. Once again, the rest are projects we've been seeing for quite a while and are still working their way through processes. I hope to see those soon.
I'll try and be quick. Just say that's all you got to say.
Haywood County, same projects you've been seeing for a while. We certainly won't go over all of them. Did want to call attention to another bridge in Haywood County that just started up. It's over Campbell Creek on Johnson Branch Road. And also Cody Weddle's on here. He's the District 2 engineer, and I'm going to let him cover some ramp closures and such. Cody, are you there?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Appreciate it, Stephen. Just real quick, for those that travel through Haywood County, you may have noticed that exit 102 at Russ Avenue on US 74 West reopened this week ahead of schedule. The project now progresses to a planned closure of the US 74 on-ramp at the same location coming from Russ Avenue. That'll go in place this upcoming Monday. That's expected to be in place for 60 days, so that's mid-October. The signed detour for that route, for those desiring to travel west on US 74, will follow US 74 east to exit 104. Several of us here at DOT refer to that as the Lowe's exit. And then you would just get back on US 74 west. There's been several media articles posted this week providing additional information for the public on those. Another impactful closure scheduled for next week is along I-40 West at Incinerator Road. Starting Monday at 9 a.m., right lane closure will be deployed to do some work that is necessary for upcoming shift to the new alignment. So that'll go into place, like I said, at 9 a.m. on Monday and be removed by late afternoon Wednesday. We do anticipate this resulting in some traffic delays and certainly encourage motorists to allow for additional travel time through the middle of the week. Also like to always take a moment to here lately to plug the new drivenc.gov website and mobile app. If you're not familiar, we've launched that recently, and there's several new features that's introduced with this upgrade, and including customizable text and email alerts. And one of the real cool features is real-time traffic feeds over 1,100 traffic cameras across the state. So not only can we see them now, you can as well. So please check that out, and we appreciate you all sharing that with the communities we all serve, because this is a great upgrade that I think will provide a lot of benefit if people can start utilizing it.
drivenc.gov.
Correct. Great, thank you, Cody. Thank you, Cody. Henderson County, again, same projects you've been seeing for a while under construction. A couple that have been added, I think, since our last meeting. The next section of the Acoustic Trail going to Transylvania County line, that has let and construction has started, and then also another bridge over Clear Creek on Bob's Road. Reminder, these are on the MPO's website, and I think there's a link in your agenda packet as well. Project development side of things, again, same projects you've been seeing for a few years now. There is a schedule change. Haywood County, there's a bridge over Cove Creek on 209. That got moved out a year just for budget reasons. And then the very last one on there, if you remember, couple of meetings ago, the board passed a resolution supporting, it's a right-in, right-out at the Midway Medical Center. That's been delayed a couple of years. There's some utility issues and also some right-of-way that wasn't anticipated. That has to be purchased. That was not anticipated initially. Henderson County, the second one down is there's a bridge over Devil's Fork Creek on Tracy Grove Road. That just got moved out just a couple of months. Otherwise, all the schedules are holding from what they were previously. Any questions? And we have District 1 staff and District 2 staff on the call. So, any questions? Right, thank you.
Next is Daniel Phillips.
All right, all. I just pasted a link into the chat, and I'll go over this press release. North Carolina Department of Transportation has recently launched a new interactive online tool called Projects Near Me, where the public can explore and feature a wide range of statewide transportation projects. The map is searchable by address, making it easy to find any projects near your location, and by SIP number. This is a bit more of a forward-facing website than our old STIP map website, which still exists. More technical. This is forward-facing public. It has filters to allow better searching by modes. Map can also display indicators that are of high public interest, have current public engagement activities, or our future projects. And when you click on any individual projects, the map pin displays more information, including a local map, description of the work, milestones, and commitments for funding in the current STIP, and who the contact information are for the project. The data behind the map is still subject to change as we evolve this process, so we're eager to hear your feedback. And the map does not feature data on travel impacts, and for that we still refer people to drivenc.gov. So that may help you in your communications with the public. I'm also going to go over a quick release that NCDOT Integrated Mobility Division has announced funding for 16 new coordinated public transportation projects that will expand public transportation options and improve mobility for communities across North Carolina. And this was an initiative to encourage collaboration between 2 or more transit agencies. And of the 16 awarded contracts, I see that many are in the mountains, but none directly in our region. But I am told that We did apply. We just didn't make funding this round, but I encourage you all to continue to participate in the future. And then last, last business item is the freight plan has been moving forward. There were some workshops. There was one in Asheville a couple months ago, and I believe the draft is going to the board soon. So we'll probably get updates on any final conclusions on that statewide freight plan. And then the last boring update is that my branch has been renamed for all the good it's going to do. It has been renamed the Transportation Planning Office instead of the Transportation Planning Department. And we have been reorganized under a kind of renamed division called the Division of Planning and Programming. So we'll be working a little more closer with the SPOT and STIP offices. That's about it.
Perfect. Thank you, Daniel. Any questions for Daniel? Next is subcommittee report. Okay, the subcommittees and work groups continue to be active. There's a report in your packet. Just a few things to go over really quickly. The work group and other related. We had a discussion this morning about locally administered projects. Just as a reminder, that relates to the projects that are funded through the MPO's direct allotment of federal funds. One thing we talked about is the length of time it is taking to deliver these projects and some of the potential changes we might need to be making as part of the MPO's process to improve delivery rates. Just to note, we've programmed more than 30 projects since 2007. They weren't all programmed in 2007, but somewhat sporadically, from 2007 being the starting point. 10 of those 31 have been delivered to date. That's 32% of the projects programmed. Of the completed projects, it's taken them an average of 6.2 years. You can see, though, there's some outliers on either side, some fairly quickly delivered projects and some projects that have taken quite a bit more time. So we are proposing a number of policy changes to make this small section of funding more efficient and more effective. We do plan on bringing recommendations to the prioritization subcommittee as well as to the TCC and board to overhaul this process. And I think this goes somewhat hand in hand with earlier items. We know that there's a lot of projects that are needed as quickly as possible. We know that we have some of those projects have been funded, and getting them completed has been a real challenge. We currently have 5 projects under development that were awarded projects more than a decade ago. That does include a Greenway project on NC 51, and as well as many other places. So we do see this as an important initiative that we will continue to be working on and bringing back recommendations. Some legislative updates. At the federal level, the IIJA, or the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, as a reminder, that is set to expire at the end of next month. With things looking like they probably won't get a new bill passed by that time, there has been a stopgap measure introduced to the Senate to continue the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law through December 11th. That's not unusual for a federal transportation law. I think just about everyone in the last 2 decades have been continued since they've been expired. What exactly happens on December 11th after a midterm election? I'm not sure. Lame ducks, sometimes fly.
in general, that allows more time to develop the Build 250 Act that we've talked about before. One point of contention, though, is that with the stopgap measure, it does not continue the advanced appropriations for rail and transit, i.e., every program except rail and transit would continue to essentially be funded under the stopgap measure. Those additional programs would require another appropriation in order for them to continue. State budget, there is a budget. There you go. Years in the making. Years. I hear applause. A couple of things to note. $10.2 million allocated for wildlife crossings over 2 years. That's important. Just as a reminder, the NPO does have a wildlife crossing plan. There's a small item, $1 million for dynamic speed signs and work zones to improve worker safety. And the last, but certainly not least, the I-77 amendment that we discussed last time passed. Just as a reminder, when we talked about statewide mobility projects in June, the big headline is that the I-40 project in Buncombe and Hayes County project is moving forward into the STIP. Most likely not committed, but set to begin engineering and likely to need more funding in a next round of prioritization. With the I-77 amendment,
Toll lanes managed.
There we go. Choice lanes. So this amendment, from my understanding, was passed as a result of the Charlotte MPO taking action to defund a project on I-77 that had become controversial for whatever reason happened in Charlotte. I think a lot of that just basically came down to local officials seeing the impacts of the proposed designs and hearing from their community members about concerns of the impacts to the project. That MPO took action to remove the project. An amendment was included in the state budget that basically says if an MPO moves forward to defund a project without the agreement of NCDOT, then members of the MPO that vote in favor of the defunding will have to reimburse NCDOT for preliminary engineering, which in Charlotte's case, I believe is $60 million. This is quite a change. I've had a few discussions with Division 14, folks in Raleigh. We heard several times, and it was 100% correct by the Turnpike Authority at the time, that if you'll recall, it was repeatedly said, if the MPO has a problem with the project, it can walk away from it at any time. This amendment makes it considerably more difficult to walk away from the project.
Do you think that could have changed the vote here? When we talked about managed lanes, have we known that?
Potentially. I mean, yes. Potentially, yes. The way that I put it to folks in Raleigh is that if this is a project that the region and NCDOT want to move forward, it behooves us to provide as much assurances and collaboration in this process to make sure that what happened in Charlotte doesn't happen to this project or other projects in the region. We have a number of projects on I-26 in Henderson County and Buncombe County. We have projects identified along I-40. There's a real question about what this needs to look like to make sure that our members can feel secure in advancing a project and not end up with a $60 million bill. I haven't checked with the town of Clyde. I assume a bill of that sort would be difficult. To note, we are awaiting further guidance on this from NCDOT. We are anticipating a presentation on I-40 in September. And I think in the meantime, I really do appreciate the division staff reaching out to discuss what this means for the I-40 project. Important notes there. Some other updates, NCDOT IMD is planning a paved trail feasibility study call for projects in January and February. We got a couple of paved trail studies programmed the last time they did this, including a greenway project along Meadow Road in Asheville and the Above the Mud Greenway connector in Hendersonville, and also a micro transit study call for projects also early next year anticipated. I'll also say we've done some reorganizing with transportation staff. So congratulations to Sandy Broadville and our staff. We bumped her up to a new position we are calling Community Mobility Manager to oversee the TDM, the Transportation Demand Management Coordinator, as well as the Safe Routes to School Coordinator positions. So Sandy has come on board a little over a year and a half ago and has sparked a lot of engagement, both just generally within the community as well as within the business community. And we think making that little subdivision of our division a little more clear is something that would be helpful. And that's all we've got for today. Any public comments? We are adjourned.